Stop whatever you're doing right now. Because what Caitlin Clark just said in her brand new interview is the kind of statement that's going to echo through sports history for the next decade. And the crazy part? Nobody was supposed to hear it. This wasn't scripted. This wasn't PR approved. This was Caitlin Clark, raw, unfiltered, speaking straight from the heart about everything. Her journey, her struggles, her vision for the future, and a message so powerful that it's already inspired millions of young girls across the globe. But here's where it gets interesting. While this interview is breaking the internet, while fans everywhere are sharing clips and losing their minds over what she said, the WNBA is scrambling. Why? Because this interview exposes something they never wanted you to see. Let me set the stage for you. Nike just dropped Caitlin Clark's signature shoe announcement. The hype is through the roof. Celebrities are lining up. The commercial features Travis Scott, the Kelce Brothers, her college coach, basically everyone who believed in her when the league refused to. And yeah, I said refused, because let's be brutally honest here. Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA. She saved it, single-handedly, not taking anything away from the other incredible players. But name me one person, just one, who made the league explode the way she did. You can't. And instead of rolling out the red carpet, instead of treating her like the generational talent she obviously is, what did the league do? They made her a target. The physicality, the fouls that went uncalled, the whispers behind closed doors, the veterans who felt threatened instead of inspired, the commissioner who pretended everything was fine, while referees turned games into prison ball. Caitlin Clark walked into a war zone when she should have walked into a celebration. And yet, here's the part that breaks my heart. She never complained. Not once. She kept her head down, worked harder, and let her game do the talking. But this interview? This interview is different. Because for the first time, Caitlin Clark isn't just talking about basketball. She's talking about what it means to believe in yourself when nobody else does. She's talking about the moments that almost broke her. She's talking about the young girls watching from China, from small towns in Iowa, from driveways just like the one she grew up shooting hoops in. And she's sending them a message that transcends sports entirely. Now, I'm going to break down every single clip from this viral interview. We're going to dissect what she said, why it matters, and why the WNBA should be taking notes instead of negotiating CBA deals at a snail's pace, while the most marketable athlete in women's sport history is carrying their entire league on her back. But before we dive in, I need you to understand something. What you're about to hear isn't just an interview, it's a declaration. And by the end of this video, you're going to see Caitlin Clark in a completely different light. Ready? Let's get into the first clip that's making everyone lose their minds. The interviewer asks Caitlin a simple question. What do the people in your commercial mean to you? Simple question, right? But watch what happens next. Watch how Caitlin's entire demeanor shifts. Watch how her eyes light up with something that goes beyond gratitude. Because her answer? It's not what anyone expected. She doesn't give some rehearsed, corporate-approved response about brand synergy or marketing partnerships. No. Caitlin Clark does something far more powerful. She gets personal. A lot of the people in this commercial, she says, are either people I've met, interacted with, or have been big supporters of my career this far. Now pause. Think about what she's really saying here. In a world where athletes are surrounded by yes men and fair-weather friends, Caitlin Clark is publicly acknowledging the people who showed up when it actually mattered. Not after the fame, not after the records, not after Nike came calling with a signature shoe deal. Before, she mentions her college coach, the one who believed in a young girl from Iowa when major programs were still sleeping on her potential. She mentions Travis Scott, who didn't just show up to a random game. He showed up to senior night, her last home game in college, when the pressure was at its peak. He brought some crazy energy, Caitlin says with a smile. And then she drops the Kelce Brothers. Jason and Travis Kelce, two of the biggest names in the NFL, publicly supporting a women's basketball player. Not for clout, not for headlines, but because they genuinely believed in what she was building. You know what that tells me? It tells me the people who truly understand greatness recognize Caitlin Clark before the mainstream caught on. But here's what makes this even more significant. Look at who's not in that commercial. Look at who's conspicuously absent. Where are the WNBA legends who should have been welcoming her with open arms? Where are the current players who should have been celebrating the rising tide that lifts all boats? Where are the league executives who should have been front and center, championing their biggest star? They're nowhere to be found. Instead, Caitlin's support system is filled with people from outside the WNBA, outsiders who saw what the insiders refused to acknowledge. And that speaks volumes. Because while the league was busy debating whether Caitlin Clark was good for basketball or getting too much attention, the rest of the world was already crowning her. Travis Scott saw it. The Kelce Brothers saw it. Her college coach saw it. But somehow, the very league that benefits most from her existence couldn't see it until it was too late. And now they're scrambling to catch up, scrambling to capitalize on a phenomenon they actively tried to suppress. But Caitlin, she's not bitter. She's not throwing shade. She's simply building her empire with the people who earned their spot in her story. And what she says next in this interview about inspiring the next generation, it's going to hit you right in the chest. You can achieve anything. For words, that's all it took for Caitlin Clark to break the internet. But it wasn't just what she said. It was how she said it, the conviction in her voice, the absolute certainty in her eyes. Like she wasn't just reciting a motivational quote. She was testifying. When the interviewer asked what she hopes people take away from her campaign, Caitlin could have played it safe. She could have talked about shoes and sponsorships and brand awareness. Instead, she opened up about something far more vulnerable. Her driveway. It started in my driveway as a young kid, she says. This belief of wanting to be really good at basketball and spending a lot of time doing it. Now, let that sink in for a moment. The most electrifying player in women's basketball history, the one selling out arenas, breaking viewership records, and landing signature Nike deals, traces everything back to a concrete slab outside her childhood home. No fancy training facilities, no elite AAU programs with six-figure budgets, no connections to professional scouts or agents, just a girl, a ball, and a dream so big it scared everyone around her. But here's the part that gutted me. My family were my biggest supporters since day one, Caitlin continues. They helped build that dream with me. You hear that? She didn't say her family supported her dream. She said they built it with her. There's a massive difference. Supporting someone means cheering from the sidelines. Building with someone means getting your hands dirty. It means early morning rebounds, late night pep talks, sacrificing vacations and savings so your daughter can chase something most people would call impossible. The Clark family didn't just believe in Caitlin. They bet everything on her. And now the whole world is watching that bet pay off in ways nobody could have predicted. But Caitlin doesn't stop there, because what she says next transcends basketball entirely. Hopefully I'm inspiring the younger generation, she says. It doesn't even have to be for them to play basketball, but for them to achieve and believe whatever they want to and become whatever they want to. I think that's a really powerful thing. Read that again. A professional athlete, one who makes her living playing basketball, is telling kids that basketball doesn't have to be their path. She's not recruiting future players. She's not building her brand. She's giving young people permission to dream their own dreams, whatever those dreams might be. Do you understand how rare that is? In a world of athletes obsessed with legacy and influence, Caitlin Clark is out here telling kids to find their own driveway, their own passion, their own version of shooting hoops until the streetlights come on. And this message isn't just resonating in America, it's traveling across oceans. Because what the interviewer reveals next about Caitlin's impact in China is absolutely mind-blowing. China, over 1.4 billion people, the largest population on planet Earth. And right now, at this very moment, young girls in cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou are waking up early just to watch Caitlin Clark highlights. Let that sink in. We're not talking about casual interest. We're talking about a full-blown movement, an awakening, a generation of Chinese girls who are picking up basketballs for the first time because of a 22-year-old from Des Moines, Iowa. The interviewer leans in and tells Caitlin something remarkable. You inspired a lot of girls in China. More and more attention for women's basketball in China. Right now, a lot of young girls, they attribute their interest in basketball to you. And watch Caitlin's reaction. She doesn't puff up with pride. She doesn't deflect with false modesty. Instead, something shifts in her expression. Something genuine. Something almost overwhelmed. Because I don't think she fully grasped it until that moment. Her impact isn't just national. It's global. Obviously, China's not a place I've ever been to, Caitlin admits. But I know I'll be there very soon. Soon. Remember that word. Because when Caitlin Clark touches down in China, and mark my words, it will happen, it's going to be unlike anything we've ever seen for a women's basketball player. The reception, the crowds, the sheer magnitude of what she represents to millions of young girls who've never seen someone like her. But here's what really got me about her response. She flips the script entirely. Having that type of reach, Caitlin says, also has an impact on me. Wait, what? The person inspiring millions is saying that they're the ones being impacted? This is a humility that separates Caitlin Clark from every other athlete of her generation. She continues, you get to inspire so many different people, so many people from different walks of life, but they all love the same thing. They love basketball. They love watching it and becoming better at it. Do you see what she's doing here? She's not taking credit for the movement. She's acknowledging that she's simply part of something bigger, a universal language that connects a girl in Iowa to a girl in Beijing, a shared passion that transcends borders, languages, and cultures. That's exactly what my story was. Caitlin adds, I always just wanted to be better. I loved watching it. I wanted to put a lot of time into improving my game. And then she delivers a message directly to those young fans across the ocean. Hopefully I'm inspiring a lot of people in China, especially the young boys and girls, to want to really invest a lot of time to be as great as they can be. Boys and girls. She didn't leave anyone out. Because Caitlin Clark understands something the WNBA still doesn't fully grasp. This isn't about women's basketball versus men's basketball. This isn't about proving anything to anybody. This is about basketball. Period. And greatness recognizes no gender. But the interviewer isn't done yet, because the next question takes us somewhere unexpected, somewhere raw, somewhere Caitlin rarely goes publicly. The interviewer wants to know about the beginning, before the fame, before the records. Was there ever a moment when basketball felt too hard? Caitlin's answer will shock you. Was there ever a moment when basketball felt challenging for you? The interviewer pauses. Or were you born to be a winner? Now, this is the kind of question most athletes dream of getting. It's a softball, a layup. All Caitlin has to do is smile, nod, and say something like, I always knew I was destined for this. That's what most superstars would do. But Caitlin Clark isn't most superstars. And her answer reveals something we've never truly understood about her journey. That's a great question, she says, taking a moment to really think. Honestly, I feel like there's obviously a lot of challenging moments throughout my career. Wait, did you catch that? A lot of challenging moments. Not one, not a few, a lot. The player who makes everything look effortless. The one who drains half-court shots and no-look passes like she's playing in her backyard, just admitted that her path was filled with struggles most people never saw. But here's where it gets really interesting. I probably always had a lot of natural skill, Caitlin continues, but I also wanted to get a lot better at it. Natural talent wasn't enough for her. Being gifted wasn't the finish line. It was the starting point. So I always found ways to challenge myself, she explains. That's probably when I felt the most challenged, when I would, whether it was a hard workout or a bad game or something like that. And this is what separates the good from the legendary. Caitlin Clark didn't wait for challenges to find her. She went hunting for them. She actively sought out discomfort. She chased the hard workouts. She studied the bad games instead of forgetting them. Most people run from adversity. Caitlin ran toward it. I feel like you find ways to challenge yourself within those moments, she adds. Think about what that means. When most athletes have a bad game, they sulk. They make excuses. They blame the refs, the opponents, or the circumstances. When Caitlin has a bad game, she uses it as fuel. She dissects it. She finds a weakness and attacks it until it becomes a strength. This is the mindset of a serial winner. And yet, despite all this self-driven intensity, Caitlin maintained something beautiful. I would probably say I always had a natural skill for it and just a knack for basketball, she admits. But I also really loved it and want to get better at it. Love. That's the word that jumped out at me. Not obsession, not obligation, not pressure from coaches or parents or expectations. Love. Pure, childlike love for the game. And that's the secret sauce nobody talks about. The reason Caitlin Clark can smile after getting fouled for the 15th time in a game. The reason she shows up to practice with the same energy whether cameras are rolling or not. She genuinely loves this. And when you love something that deeply, the challenges don't break you. They build you. But the interviewer wants to go even deeper. Back to the very beginning. Back to a time most people have forgotten. A time when little Caitlin Clark couldn't even find a girls' league to play in. What she reveals about those early days will change everything you thought you knew about her origin story. Here's something most people don't know about Caitlin Clark. Before the sold-out arenas, before the ESPN highlights, before the Nike deal and the magazine covers and the global fame, there was a little girl who couldn't find a place to play. The interviewer brings up a fascinating piece of Caitlin's history. As a young girl, you played in boys' leagues because at that time your dad couldn't find a girls' league for you. Let that hit you. The greatest women's basketball player of her generation, the one shattering every record in the book, started her career surrounded entirely by boys. Not by choice, by necessity, because girls' basketball in her area wasn't developed enough to accommodate a kid with her hunger. There simply weren't enough opportunities, weren't enough leagues, weren't enough people who believed girls deserved the same chances as boys. So what did the Clark family do? They improvised. They threw young Caitlin into boys' leagues and said, figure it out. And you know what happened? She didn't just survive. She dominated. Think about the mental toughness that requires. Think about being the only girl on the court, surrounded by boys who probably didn't want you there. Boys who were bigger, faster, stronger physically. And this little girl from Iowa looked at all of them and said, watch this. She learned to be quicker mentally because she couldn't always match them physically. She developed that legendary court vision because she had to see plays develop before they happened. She built that unshakable confidence because she had no other choice. The boys' league didn't break her. It forged her. But here's the beautiful part. Caitlin doesn't look back at that experience with bitterness. She doesn't complain about what she didn't have. Instead, she focuses on what's happening now. Right now, things have changed a little bit, the interviewer notes. And Caitlin's eyes light up, because this is what drives her beyond personal accolades, beyond championships, beyond signature shoes and viral interviews. Legacy. The interviewer asks what Caitlin wants to see improve for girls basketball in the future. And her answer is both simple and profound. Just more and more opportunities, she says. And I think that's exactly what's happening. More opportunities. Not more fame for herself. Not more money. Not more recognition. Opportunities for the next generation. For the little girls who are where she was 15 years ago. Hungry, talented, but lacking a stage to showcase their gifts. There's going to be more and more young girls that love basketball or love another sport, Caitlin continues, and believe that they could be really good at it. And then she says something that reveals her true understanding of her position in history. I think it kind of starts with the stage that I'm playing on right now. She gets it. Caitlin Clark understands that every record she breaks, every arena she fills, every eyeball she attracts isn't just about her career. It's about building infrastructure, creating visibility, forcing networks and sponsors and leagues to pay attention, so that the next Caitlin Clark won't have to play in boys' leagues, so that the next Caitlin Clark will have a clear path instead of having to machete through the jungle. But she's not done yet. What she says about taking the game global is going to give you chills. The more we can be on TV. Caitlin pauses, carefully choosing her next words. The more people can come and watch us and buy a ticket. Another pause. Or we can go to places like China or wherever it's at globally to help grow the game and allow people to see us play basketball. She takes a breath. I think that's a really important and powerful thing. Now, on the surface, this might sound like standard athlete talk, generic quotes about growing the game and reaching new audiences. But listen closer, because Caitlin Clark just revealed her master plan. She's not thinking about next season. She's not focused on her next contract negotiation. She's not worried about individual stats or MVP races. She's thinking about global domination, not for herself, for women's basketball. And the strategy she's outlining is brilliant in its simplicity. Step 1, get on TV. As much as possible. Prime time slots. Major networks. Make women's basketball unavoidable. Step 2, fill arenas. Create experiences so electric that attending a game becomes a bucket list item. Turn casual viewers into die-hard fans. Step 3, go international. Take the show on the road. Let young girls in China, Europe, Africa, and South America see these athletes up close. Make it personal. Make it real. This isn't just a growth strategy. It's a revolution. And Caitlin is leading it whether the WNBA supports her or not. But here's what makes her next statement so powerful. When you really get to see people you idolize up close, she says, her voice softening, those were some of the most impactful moments of my childhood. She's speaking from experience now. Somewhere in Caitlin's past, there was a moment, a single, crystallizing moment when she saw someone she admired in person. Maybe it was a basketball player. Maybe it was someone from another sport entirely. But whoever it was, whatever that moment looked like, it changed everything. It transformed a dream into a mission. It turned maybe someday into I will. And now Caitlin carries that responsibility with her everywhere she goes. Every autograph she signs. Every photo she takes. Every young fan she high-fives after a game. She knows she might be creating that moment for someone else. I know how impactful that can be for young girls today, too, she says. There it is, the full circle. Someone inspired Caitlin when she was young. Now Caitlin is inspiring millions of young girls around the world. And someday, one of those girls will stand where Caitlin stands now, inspiring the generation after them. This is how movements are built. This is how sports transcend entertainment and become something meaningful. But while Caitlin Clark is out here talking about global expansion and inspiring the next generation, what's happening behind the scenes in the WNBA? Chaos. Absolute chaos. Because the league that should be capitalizing on this unprecedented moment of momentum is instead drowning in dysfunction. And what's happening with the CBA negotiations is going to make your blood boil. Let me paint a picture for you. It's January 2025. Christmas has come and gone. New Year's celebrations are behind us. The calendar has flipped to a fresh start. And the WNBA still doesn't have a collective bargaining agreement. Still can't confirm there will be a season. Still can't get its act together while the most marketable athlete in women's sports history is doing their marketing for them. Are you kidding me? Let's break down how insane the situation really is. Caitlin Clark just dropped a Nike commercial featuring A-list celebrities. Travis Scott, the Kelce Brothers. Her signature shoe is generating more buzz than most entire WNBA seasons combined. International media outlets are covering her every move. Young girls in China are picking up basketballs because of her. And the league's response? We're still negotiating. This is what failure looks like in real time. While Caitlin is out here being a global ambassador, the WNBPA, the Players Association, is fumbling negotiations so badly that even their most devoted fans are exhausted. And I mean exhausted. There's a reason people are talking about CBA fatigue. It's because this process has dragged on so long, with so little progress, that even die-hard supporters are checking out. But here's where it gets even worse. Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league co-founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, is about to tip off in 10 days. 10 days. And some of the co-founders of that league are also on the WNBPA negotiating panel. So let me get this straight. The people responsible for securing a new CBA for WNBA players are publicly saying they're only focused on Unrivaled right now? How does that make any sense? You're supposed to be fighting for better conditions for every player in the league. You're supposed to be securing the future of women's professional basketball. You're supposed to be leveraging this unprecedented moment of attention and turning it into generational gains. But instead, you're worried about your side project. I'm not saying Unrivaled isn't exciting. I'm not saying these players don't deserve additional opportunities. They absolutely do. But priorities matter. And right now, the priorities are completely backwards. Meanwhile, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is sitting in her office doing what exactly? Remember last season? Remember when Caitlin Clark was getting absolutely mauled on the court? Remember the uncalled fouls, the cheap shots, the physical abuse that went unpunished game after game? What did the league do about it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Fans screamed about the officiating. Media members demanded accountability. The evidence was right there on video for everyone to see. And the commissioner's response was essentially, everything is fine. Everything is not fine. The referees were allowing prison ball tactics against the league's biggest star. The very person generating billions in attention was being physically targeted while officials looked the other way. And now we're supposed to trust the same leadership to navigate complex CBA negotiations? Caitlin Clark deserved better from day one. She deserved a league that protected its stars instead of enabling attacks on them. She deserved a commissioner who addressed problems instead of pretending they didn't exist. She deserved a players' association focused on collective good instead of individual ventures. But she didn't get any of that. And what she said in this interview about her vision for the future makes the league's failures even more heartbreaking. I want you to imagine something. Imagine if Caitlin Clark had entered the WNBA the same way Victor Wembanyama entered the NBA. Red carpet treatment. League-wide celebration. Every team, every player, every executive acknowledging, this person is special. This person is going to change everything. Let's rally around them. That's what Wemby got. From day one, the NBA understood the assignment. They marketed him relentlessly. They protected him on the court. They made sure the world knew that a generational talent had arrived, and the league was proud to have him. Now compare that to what Caitlin received. Skepticism, hostility, physical targeting, veteran players openly questioning whether she deserved the attention, a commissioner who pretended the problems weren't happening, a media narrative that constantly tried to pit her against other women instead of celebrating collective success. It's disgusting when you really think about it. And the saddest part? Caitlin never asked for special treatment. She never demanded anything extra. She just wanted to play basketball at the highest level and inspire the next generation. That's it. But even that simple dream was met with resistance at every turn. And yet, despite all of that, look at what she's accomplished. Rookie of the Year, All-Star, record-breaking performances, a signature Nike shoe, global recognition that transcends the sport entirely. She did all of this while swimming upstream. Imagine what she could have done with the current behind her instead of against her. Imagine if the WNBA had treated Caitlin Clark like the gift she so obviously is from the very first moment she stepped onto a professional court. The ratings would be even higher. The attendance would be even more record-breaking. The sponsorship deals would be even more lucrative. The global expansion would already be years ahead of where it is now. But instead, the league had to learn the hard way. They had to watch Caitlin succeed despite them before they finally started getting on board. And now they're scrambling. Now they're trying to capitalize on the phenomenon they should have been building from day one. Now they want to act like they were supportive all along. We see you. We remember. We're taking notes. But here's the thing about Caitlin Clark that makes her truly special. She doesn't hold grudges. She doesn't waste energy on bitterness or revenge. She takes every slight, every obstacle, every moment of disrespect, and she transforms it into fuel. The players who targeted her, she outscored them. The critics who doubted her, she silenced them. The league that failed to protect her, she's elevating it anyway. Because Caitlin Clark understands something most people never learn. Your response to adversity defines you far more than the adversity itself. And her response has been nothing short of extraordinary. But as this interview comes to a close, Caitlin delivers one final message. A message aimed directly at the young girls watching from driveways around the world. And I promise you, You're going to want to hear every single word. Let me take you back to where this all started. A driveway in Des Moines, Iowa. A young girl with a basketball, shooting until her arms ached, shooting until the sun went down, shooting until her parents had to call her inside for dinner. She didn't have a blueprint. She didn't have a roadmap. She didn't have proof that what she was chasing was even possible. All she had was a dream and the audacity to believe in it. That little girl is now sitting in front of international cameras, fielding questions about her global impact, her Nike signature shoe, and the millions of young lives she's already touched. But here's what strikes me most about this entire interview. Caitlin Clark never forgot where she came from. Every answer, every reflection, every glimpse into her mindset traces back to that driveway, back to those early morning workouts with her family, back to the pure, uncontaminated love for a game that gave her everything. And now she's trying to give it back. Not just to American girls, not just to college prospects, not just to future WNBA players, to everyone, to the young girl in Shanghai who just picked up a basketball for the first time, to the teenager in London who's being told she's too small to compete, to the kid in rural Iowa who doesn't have access to fancy training facilities but has a hoop in her driveway and fire in her heart. Caitlin's message to all of them is the same. You can achieve anything. 4 words, 1 truth. And coming from her, coming from someone who actually lived it, those words carry weight that no motivational poster ever could. But here's what I need you to understand as we close this out. Caitlin Clark's story isn't over. It's barely begun. She's 22 years old. 22, with decades of basketball ahead of her, decades of records to break, decades of young lives to impact, decades of proving wrong everyone who ever doubted her. And the WNBA, they have a choice to make. They can continue fumbling, continue with their dysfunctional CBA negotiations, continue with commissioners who ignore problems and players' associations with misplaced priorities. Or they can wake up. They can look at what's sitting right in front of them and finally, treat it with the respect and professionalism it deserves. Because Caitlin Clark isn't going to wait for them. She's going to keep inspiring millions, keep breaking records, keep expanding the game globally, keep showing up with that same driveway energy that got her here in the first place. The only question is whether the league will be smart enough to ride the wave or foolish enough to keep swimming against it. As for Caitlin, she already told us her answer in this interview. She's going to keep doing exactly what she's always done. Believe in herself, challenge herself, and inspire every single person watching to do the same. That's the Caitlin Clark story. That's why this interview is going viral. And that's why, no matter what happens with the CBA, the commissioner, or the league's endless drama, she's already won. Not just games, not just awards, hearts, millions of them, around the entire world. From a driveway in Iowa to a global phenomenon, the little girl did it, and she's just getting started. If this video impacted you, smash that like button. Drop a comment telling me what part of Caitlin's interview hit you the hardest. Subscribe if you're new and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Because when Caitlin Clark makes news, and trust me, she will, you're going to want to hear about it here first. Until next time, keep the vision, stay locked in, and never stop believing in your driveway dreams. Peace.